What is up? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're having a good day. We got another one coming back to you again. This time we're reviewing, reacting to the dark side of Ryan Toys review. So I know of Ryan, I know of the Toys review.
But I think the
I'm
important
interested to
thing
see the
is
dark
just
side
make
of
sure
this.
put the
So let's
kids
get into it.
first, the kids first, the kids
Kids
first.
first. What are the parents doing? Overworking them?
Nothing more than a tool for marketing to very young children, zero value to kids. It's straight up dangerous and should be blocked by most parents. I hate this channel, everything about it. Seriously awful. It's a giant commercial and they are always talking about freaking McDonald's. Young brains are impressionable and this is completely not what I want my child to witness as fun. Garbage, pure garbage. Just another way to manipulate kids to make money for this type of parents. It has no educational purpose. Why does a child need that many toys? He's gonna have girl issues because everything is about me, me, me. Ryan's toy review was like a trash reality TV show for small children. It seems to be addictive for kids.
Yo, these people are pretty harsh. Goodness. They're pretty harsh.
According to Forbes, throughout 2020, Ryan's World took home an approximate income of $29.5 million, making him the highest paid YouTuber for the year, above the likes of Mr. Beast and Jeffree Star. The most significant part, which I'm sure many of you are already aware, is that Ryan is only 9 years old, making him younger than the Angry Birds mobile game, the film Avatar, as well as the legal working age for a McDonald's employee. 9.5 million isn't exactly a bad wicket for anyone who's yet to go through puberty, and considering in every episode it looks like Ryan is having the time of his life, on the surface it seems as though the Ryan's World channel is the spitting image of perfection itself. However, like all things in life, the Ryan's World channel has a dark
Hopefully
side that's
that's a
really
little bit
talked
better.
about in the media.
We try not to
Let me
capture
know.
any
Let me know.
moment that Ryan's in distress.
Legal battles to do with not fully disclosing paid sponsorships within videos, the exploitation of Ryan for the financial gain of his parents, and most
Oh, I feel like
surprisingly,
it's
the criminal history associated with Ryan's mother, Luann Kaji, who in her younger years actually went to prison.
7-year multi-million-dollar YouTube star Ryan Kagi's mother has a criminal past.
In June 2002, when Ryan's mum was 18 years old, she was caught shoplifting at a J.C. Penney located in her hometown of Houston, Texas. The security of the store discovered that she'd been trying to steal 6 items of clothing, totaling $93, which is equivalent to around $135 today. After being taken back to the police station, she would be fined $150 for the theft, given 40 hours of community service, as well as being put on a 6-month probation period. On top of this, she had to carry an offender identification card while also attending an anti-shoplifting program. However, here's where it gets interesting. Rather than simply showing up and doing her 40 hours of community service, she sat around and did nothing. Luann didn't report to her community supervisor, didn't pay the fees she was supposed to pay, and didn't even show up to any of the community service when scheduled. For this reason, she would be arrested again, and instead of a $150 fine and a slap on the wrist, she will be sentenced to 2 months in the Houston Harris County Jail. She will remain in jail for 30 days, after which she'll be released, and
Oh, wow.
from the information available, manage to stay out of jail from that point onwards. Now, making a judgment about an individual's character based on what they did at the age of 18 is perhaps a little unfair. People change a lot
Facts,
in 18
though.
years, so her going to jail could be totally discountable. But at the same time, I think it'd be unwise to pass it off altogether as, oh, she was just young and dumb. It's not exactly like she was 13 years old stealing some food because she needed to eat and didn't have any money. She was 18 years old and going out of her way to steal expensive clothing, something that's more of a luxury than a necessity. Then, as mentioned, she would go on to double down on her mistake by
6
failing
pairs
to
of
comply with
clothes
the
worth
consequences.
90
She
something
just
dollars.
ignored
I don't feel
giving
like
us an insight
like
into her character at a young
what does that
age.
equate to?
Perhaps
Like,
this is a far-fetched
not even
assumption, but maybe we could
$15
also say
an
that it
item?
showed us she had an innate willingness to cut corners in order to get what she wants, which will
Like
be an
$15
important
an
factor
item?
for later parts in the video. After
I mean,
this
I
whole
feel like
prison saga
for
was over and done,
clothes,
Luann
I
would
don't
meet
know
her
how,
future
like,
husband Cheyenne,
I feel like
with whom
that's
she would
not
later have her
crazy.
first son Ryan in October
If you need
2011.
clothes,
In
I
March
mean,
2015,
I don't
at the age of only 3.5,
I don't know what her life
Ryan asked
situation
his
looked
mum,
like
"How
then, so
come
like
I'm not on YouTube
I wouldn't
more
really
than other
hold
kids
that
are?"
I was watching other
against a lot of people.
and I was like, why am I not on there? And
Following this statement, Ryan's parents would create the Ryan Toys Review channel and begin making the videos with him shortly thereafter.
Let's go get it then. You want it? Uh-huh. Okay. Put it in the cart.
In July 2015, only 4 months after creating the channel, they would see their first piece of viral success with their video Giant Lightning McQueen Egg Surprise,
I'm filling up gas.
which gained 20 million views after only 1 month. Following this success, the channel began posting new videos daily, and while this was great for the growth of the channel, it began the discussion about whether the channel was really in the best interest of Ryan, or was it borderline abuse to have the child doing so much work with the money ultimately going to the parents. There's always been a question of ethics in any discussion relating to kids' channels on YouTube.
What are the labor laws about putting your kids in videos? Like, how do you quantify the value that they're
I
bringing
mean,
to the
because really the
content?
kid's not doing any of the like
But is the
editing
criticism
and
towards
stuff. I
preteens
mean,
making more than $1 million a year on the YouTube platform
yeah, I don't
just pure
know.
jealousy from other people?
It kind of
who
depends
know
on
their
how
families
his
making
parents
60 grand
treat
a year,
the
or is there a
income.
legitimate case for concern?
Like, do they
It's an
put
extremely
like
difficult topic to determine for a
50%
few
of it
main
away in
reasons.
an
Firstly, there'd be
account for
channels where
him
the
for
child
like
being the main
college
star
or
legitimately
something like
wants to be a
that?
part of
Like,
the show, which is apparently the case with Ryan.
What was special is that he wanted his own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of
That-
parents
that's
who
the
like, come
interesting
on,
part.
pushing their kids out there.
However, there are other channels on which you can tell the kids clearly don't want to be involved in the videos, and the parents are forcing them to appear in order to gain ad revenue.
What is this? Cody! Tell me! I didn't do that!
So in order to determine whether Ryan being involved in the videos is a part of the channel's dark side, we have to first determine a few
you gotta be
things.
really
Is it
careful with that
voluntary
kind of
involvement?
stuff.
Is he being held at gunpoint to perform? Does he have to deal with the difficult parts of the channel like editing, criticism, and innovation? How much of the spoils and
Yeah, see, I
rewards
feel like he
actually
gets
go
to
to
miss
Ryan in
all
the
of the
present
third
and
one.
future? We see comment after comment talking about how they are
So, like, a lot of that
exploiting him, which would
is,
be
like, what
awful
I
if
said.
true. But simply having him appearing in the videos isn't really exploitation. We need to ask more questions. Now, the first thing we have to establish here in order to determine whether Ryan's appearance is a part of the dark side of the channel is whether or not Ryan is being forced to appear in the videos. Now, Ryan stated that the channel was birthed because he personally wanted to be on YouTube and it wasn't because his parents forced him. However, it's also important to question this statement with a healthy level of skepticism. Ryan was only 3.5 when he was first put on the platform. It's hard to believe that any kid of that age would already be keen to personally appear on any kind of public platform. But I could be completely wrong with that. As shown in the same video,
That's
the number
questionable,
one
I'm not
most
really
desired
sure.
job for kids aged 8 to 12 is
YouTube star, followed by teacher, professional athlete, musician, and astronaut.
However, if you did a study on the most desired jobs for kids aged 0 to 4, they probably wouldn't have an understanding about the concept of working a job. For this reason, I'd make the assumption that the idea for the channel was more than likely from Ryan's mom, and the story of Ryan just seeing other kids on YouTube and wanting to be a part of it as well is an over-embellished statement to go along with the channel's
Possibly.
branding. However,
when
while
it
this somewhat
started,
answers
but then
Sue's
like
idea of
as
what
he
the
grew up a
creation
little
of the
bit,
channel
he
in the first
probably
place,
started
it
to
fails
actually
answer
really
the more
enjoy it,
important
I would
question,
assume.
Is Ryan being forced to
I don't
appear in the videos? In the beginning, perhaps there was a trade-off between Ryan and his mum, where if Ryan's mum got to film Ryan in the videos, Ryan would be able to get as many toys as he wanted. A deal that makes sense for both parties involved. You can clearly see in the beginning that Ryan isn't being forced to appear in the videos. Kids aren't very good at hiding their emotions, especially 3-year-olds. If they're sad, they'll show it. If they're happy, they'll show it.
Why do you want this?
Because I like
His
it.
eyes
Oh,
like
is it fun? Does it look
lit
fun?
up.
Uh-huh.
Ryan is clearly happy to be on camera here, and I don't see anything sinister going on in the beginning, except for the fact that maybe Ryan's
just
mum
like-
is using the toys in order to get a nice reaction out of Ryan. But as time has progressed and Ryan now has a lifetime supply of toys, using toys as a reward isn't really going to be all that interesting to him anymore. Especially considering he's getting older, which makes me think that unless there's some kind of other incentive for him, the only other way to get him to constantly appear on camera is with a bit of force. If we combine this with the fact that their channel has somewhat of a schedule and uploads almost daily, we can almost be certain that there are days where Ryan doesn't feel like making the content, and would have to be somewhat forced by his parents in order to appear in the videos, which would be an element of the channel's dark side. However, I could be wrong with this once again, and here's why.
Yeah, that's
First,
extremely questionable. It's such a
To be nervous.
rough area, because like there is the possibility that like he actually enjoys doing this, and like he has friends who actually watch some of his videos, and like so a lot of other kids his age or a little bit older, a little bit younger, probably know who he is, and so like that could be really cool for him. I don't know. It's
As
hard.
previously mentioned, even a 9-year-old isn't very good at hiding their emotions. If he wasn't willing to appear in the videos, you'd be able to tell straight away. Secondly, Ryan doesn't actually have a very big role on the channel in terms of workload. He's the host and the face of the channel, but compared to the rest of the work required, those are probably
Yeah.
the easiest jobs. A lot of these comments that state
Yeah,
that the
that is
parents
one
are
thing.
exploiting the son for views must think that this kid is working 15 hours every single day being whipped by the parents.
Yeah,
in order
nah,
to get about tomorrow's
I mean,
video,
what's
but
it
I would
take?
totally
Like
disagree
30
with that.
minutes,
He's not gonna
maybe
be
a little
doing
bit
any
more?
editing. He's not going to have to worry about scripting. He's not going to be dealing with sponsors. He's not going to be constantly innovating with new ideas. He's not going to be dealing with sets. All of the hard work is being done by Ryan's parents and their team.
Behind the scene,
Yeah.
it's a lot more work than somebody might think. It is very time consuming. I would do all the editing after Ryan goes to bed, so I would stay up several hours.
Assuming all of the back work is done by the parents, each of these videos could probably be filmed within the space of an hour. On top of this, there are videos where
Yeah.
Ryan literally has 3 lines, with the rest of the video being taken over by an adult talking in a kid's voice. Ryan's total quote-unquote work week is probably like 10 hours max, which isn't exactly all that
If-
bad,
if
especially
even
considering
that.
how much the channel is earning, which brings us to the question of finances.
Revenue is being generated because these children are creating content. Where does that money go?
That's
Parents
that's
are
my
there.
biggest
One of the
question.
often
Like,
perceived dark
what are
sides
his
of the
parents
Ryan's
doing
World
with the
channel is
money?
that the parents are pocketing all the money. I hope when Ryan
I hope
he gets
not.
to sue his parents for not sharing any money with him.
I
The level of
hope
idiocracy
they
in
have
this
put
comment is
away like
immeasurable.
a
Firstly,
very,
because I've
very
had a good look and there's
large
absolutely no
amount.
sources pointing to how much Ryan receives for his contribution. So first things first,
I mean,
we
yeah,
don't
of
even know how much
course,
of the
like that
revenue
wouldn't be
Ryan is receiving for his
published,
portion
but like
of the
hopefully
work.
his parents
However,
have an
let's make some
account set
assumptions.
aside
Let's
for
assume that
him.
maybe 5% of all profits go back to Ryan for him to use at an older age, and that's probably an extremely conservative estimate. Assuming the channel made $29 million in 2020,
I would
that's still
really
$1.5
hope it's a lot more
million
than that.
for approximately 10 hours of work per week, available for Ryan to use at a later date. And if that's the case, I can't really see how that's such a negative. He'll never have to work a crappy first job that he hates. He'll never have to take out a loan just to go to college. Even if only 1% of the profit goes to Ryan, that's still $300,000 a year in his name at the age of 9. And while as long as Ryan is being paid enough to set him up for life, it's hard to see any problems there. However, a problem might raise when you examine how the money is being earned, another element that's been associated with the dark side of the channel. In September 2019, a complaint was filed to the Federal Trade Commission claiming that the sponsored videos feel too authentic and cannot be distinguished from unsponsored content. At the time, it was revealed that around 90% of Ryan's World's videos contained sponsored content, all of which being targeted to preschools who were too young to distinguish between a sponsored video and a review. Ryan's parents responded by saying that the well-being of our viewers is always a top priority for us. We strictly follow all platforms' terms of service and all existing laws and regulations, including advertising disclosure statements. And I guess this one as a whole is just another question of ethics. To what extent should they reveal to their audience that what they're watching is sponsored? Will it even make a difference considering it's stated that kids younger than the age of 8 or 9 cannot recognize advertising within media? Many reviews of the Ryan's World channel state that the content targets your toddlers like cigarette companies. Should advertising be disallowed within the videos altogether? What incentive would Ryan's World have to continue making content if they completely removed sponsors? A natural element of the channel's dark side is that in order for the creation of the content to be worth it, they kind of have to advertise to kids. And if parents want to distract their kids with YouTube content, they have to bear the brunt of having their kids advertised to. All in all, I think this might be one where you guys have to draw your own conclusion as to the shade of black that permeates the dark side of the Ryan's World.
I can't really make
Is
a
Ryan
call
being
on this,
exploited for
though.
the financial gain of his parents, or is it reasonable as long as he's receiving a cut of the pie? Is it ethical to continue sponsorships?
I mean, I
to an
hope
audience
he's
too young to
receiving a
understand
very
they're being
good
advertised to?
cut
Does the
once
criminal
he's of
history of
age.
Lian Kadji make an impact on how the channel is run today? It'd be safe
I
to
mean,
say
that
these
doesn't really
practices
affect
aren't
me at
perfect.
all. Like,
But hey, for
I
the
don't
many
think that
parents
really
out there that
affects it.
appreciate his ability to stop
As
their
long
child
as his
from crime,
parents are
Ryan's
true
World
to
has
him
its
and
place
give
on the
him
platform, perfect practice
what he's
or not.
deserved. That's such a questionable question. Oh, that's tough. Without like knowing his parents and stuff, I don't really feel like you can make a assessment or judgment on that. That was interesting to see some different points of view on that. I hope you guys enjoyed. That's all for that.